The gavel strikes with authority. Defendant, you stand accused of theft and vandalism. How do you plead? Thomas Harris doesn't look up. His hands tremble slightly, his eyes staring at the floor. The courtroom holds its breath. He speaks softly, barely audible. Guilty, Your Honor. A murmur spreads through the courtroom. The prosecution leans forward, their voice harsh. A decorated war hero, reduced to a common criminal. What possible excuse could there be for this? The defense attorney stands, quick to respond. This is not about an excuse. It's about understanding. Thomas Harris, a man who gave his life to this country, now fights a battle that has nothing to do with the law. He's a victim of mental illness. The prosecutor scoffs. Mental illness? That's convenient. Judge Caprio's gaze flicks between the two sides. His eyes linger on Thomas, a veteran, broken. The tension thickens. Thomas's lawyer pushes forward. Your Honor, my client didn't act out of malice. He's been struggling with PTSD, depression. These mental health issues distorted his ability to think clearly. The prosecutor's voice rings out, sharp and unforgiving. So now we're to believe that a man who was once a hero is excused because he's sad? The defense responds quietly but firmly. It's not just sadness, Your Honor. It's a mental health crisis that robbed him of his judgment. Judge Caprio remains silent. The gavel drops. The court will reconvene after a short recess. Thomas Harris stands in the witness box, his face drawn, his voice trembling. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't want to break the law, but, he pauses, his voice cracking. I just couldn't think straight anymore. It wasn't me. The prosecution cuts in, interrupting. Isn't it convenient, Mr. Harris, that you can't remember your actions when it's time for your defense? Thomas flinches at the accusation. His lawyer stands quickly. Objection, Your Honor. That's unfair. Judge Caprio nods, signaling the prosecutor to stand down. Thomas's defense lawyer turns to him, giving him a brief moment of encouragement. Thomas inhales deeply and continues. It was months after my last deployment. I thought I was fine when I came back, but something changed. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't concentrate. I would be awake for days, lost in my thoughts. I stopped seeing my friends, stopped talking to my family. The courtroom listens in tense silence. One night he hesitates while struggling to find the words. I didn't know what I was doing. I was desperate. I tried to fix things, but I didn't know how. The prosecutor leans forward, voice cold. So your excuse is that you were too lost in your own mind to understand what you were doing? Thomas's eyes meet the judge's. I wasn't myself. I was sick. The room grows heavy with the weight of his admission. The prosecutor smirks, ready to strike. So, tell us, Mr. Harris, was stealing the only way to deal with your sickness? The defense lawyer steps forward, voice steady. What we're witnessing, Your Honor, is a man who is broken, a man who made a terrible mistake, but a man who also wants to make it right. Caprio watches Thomas, his face unreadable. The tension in the room peaks. But what happened next shocked everyone in the courtroom. The courtroom is still, Caprio's attention fixed on Thomas. There's an unexpected softness in the judge's eyes. For a brief moment, Thomas catches the judge's gaze and sees something more than just the weight of the law. He sees understanding. The defense lawyer seizes the moment. Your Honor, we are not here to ask for leniency. We are here to ask for understanding. Thomas Harris is a man who served his country, who sacrificed for a greater good, but now he's paying the price of war in a way no one could have foreseen. The prosecutor jumps in, voice like ice. Are we seriously about to turn this courtroom into a pity party for a criminal? Let's not forget the victims of his crime. This is not about mental illness, it's about punishment. Caprio raises a hand, silencing them both. He leans back in his chair, a pained expression on his face. We've heard the facts. The question now is, what do we do with them? The room grows even quieter. Thomas's lawyer speaks again, presenting the records of Thomas's military service. Distinguished, selfless. They outline his battle with PTSD and depression. Caprio looks down at the papers, then back at Thomas. You served your country, but now your own mind is your enemy. How much does that weigh in the balance? The prosecution steps forward, insistent. It doesn't. A crime is a crime, Your Honor. Thomas shifts in his seat, his eyes closing for a moment. But what happened next shocked everyone in the courtroom. Caprio's voice cuts through the tension. Thomas Harris. He pauses, and the entire courtroom leans forward. You have committed a crime. There's no denying that. But there's more to this case than just the law. Your actions were not born from malice, but from something far more insidious. Mental illness. Thomas's breath catches. He wasn't expecting this. The judge's words are not of condemnation, but of understanding. Caprio continues. We cannot and should not allow mental illness to be an excuse for criminal behavior. But we also cannot ignore the pain and suffering that led you here. You need help, Mr. Harris. Not punishment, rehabilitation. The courtroom is silent. No one moves. Caprio's voice softens. The law must be just, but it must also be compassionate. Thomas's defense lawyer can barely contain his relief, his voice trembling with gratitude. Your Honor, thank you, but the prosecution is unyielding. This is absurd. You're letting him off because he was sick. Caprio's gaze hardens. Not letting him off, giving him a chance. But what happened next shocked everyone in the courtroom. The gavel strikes, and Caprio's voice rings clear. Thomas Harris, the court has found that while your actions were criminal, they were also the result of a deep and debilitating illness. You will undergo psychiatric treatment, and you will serve a term of community service, helping those who face the same struggles. Thomas stands motionless, his hands clenched. Thank you, Your Honor. His voice is hoarse with emotion. The prosecution remains cold, dissatisfied, but Caprio's ruling is final. This is not a victory for you, Mr. Harris, but it is a chance, perhaps the last chance, for redemption. Thomas nods, overwhelmed. As he walks out of the courtroom, a wave of emotion crashes over him. The weight of his past hasn't vanished, but now he has a chance to change his future. The room watches in stunned silence. A man who once believed he had lost everything now given a sliver of hope.